Welcome to King 5. I'm Greg Copeland. This is The Week, a look at what made headlines in our region along with your weekend forecast. China has issued a travel warning for its residents, urging them to avoid flying into Seattle. The Chinese ministry sent out the safety alert on Thursday, saying that 20 Chinese scholars were denied entry to the U.S. at SeaTac after what they called unreasonable questioning by Customs and Border Protection officers. King 5's Bridget Chavez has a closer look at the warning.
SeaTac Airport, thousands of international travelers arrive every day. But 20 scholars from China never made it past customs. They were stopped by U.S. Customs and Border Protection and denied entry. The Port of Seattle owns and operates the airport and told us the process for entry of international visitors is solely controlled by CBP. The Chinese government posted this on X, warning citizens to pay attention to what it calls entry safety risks when traveling to the United States. The statement goes on to say the scholars had valid visas, were questioned at the airport, then turned away. In a statement to King 5, CBP could not confirm the denials and said, quote, "Without specific dates, it is difficult to determine. Have you asked the Chinese government when it allegedly occurred?" This isn't the first time China has issued a warning like this. In August, China's foreign ministry accused U.S. border officials of repeatedly questioning and deporting students, warning it could undermine their safety and disrupt academic exchange.
The turning away of these academics at SeaTac Airport is quite unusual.
Former Washington governor and former U.S. ambassador to China, Gary Locke, says what happened here doesn't add up.
To be turned away at the airport makes absolutely no sense and raises a lot of questions.
Locke says to even get a visa, these students would have been vetted by the State Department and national security agencies in Washington. He says turning away an entire group like this is rare and warns the impact could go far beyond this one incident.
Well, a top federal prosecutor in Western Washington says state sanctuary policies are making it harder to keep some offenders off the streets. The prosecutor has launched a push to step up enforcement to keep those with criminal histories from being released back into the community. King 5 immigration reporter Sharon Yu got the exclusive interview.
The first assistant U.S. attorney says his office is filing these cases 6 to 10 times every week, in which they are filing charges against people who have been removed from the U.S. before. He says that this is an effort to keep criminals out of the community.
In a press release Friday, First Assistant U.S. Attorney Neil Floyd announced federal judges have sentenced 2 men who were illegally in the U.S. after being deported twice.
I think the general public says, look, if you're going to go after people for immigration enforcement, let's start with the people that have committed crimes.
His office charged and a federal judge sentenced Jorge Velasquez Sandoval and Filadelfo Garcia, both originally from Mexico, for illegal re-entry crimes. Velasquez Sandoval was arrested in Snohomish County for 4th-degree domestic violence assault in October 2024, and Garcia was arrested multiple times for at least 4 DUIs. They were both released from local jurisdictions each time.
If the state had been cooperating, we might have been able to save someone from becoming a victim in the first place.
Floyd says this initiative, called Operation Pick and Roll, has been in place for years, but he says his office is now trying to step it up.
In the current environment, obviously, we're trying to do a little bit more of that so we can keep fewer people from being released back into the street that have committed serious crimes.
The ultimate goal is deportation.
Well, no, the ultimate goal is to make sure they're not released out onto the street. And I bristle a little bit when people say deportation, because that's not my objective. My objective is to get them into the immigration system and see if they're eligible for anything that would allow them to remain here. And if they're not, then yes, ultimately removal may be the outcome of the case.
And the reason the feds are getting involved in these cases, Floyd says, is because the state can't under the Keep Washington Working Act, which prohibits any state agency from assisting federal immigration enforcement efforts.
Illegal entry, or if someone is in the United States without any documentation, is not a felony, it's a misdemeanor. However, if they are removed once and then they return, that could be a felony. The 2 men are currently in ICE custody.
Another senior citizen has been swindled out of hundreds of dollars at a crypto kiosk. The Centralia woman says somebody posing as a sheriff's deputy convinced her to deposit cash into that machine. Olympia Bureau Chief Drew Mickelson spoke with another victim, hoping this crime trend will change state law.
There's probably one at your neighborhood mini mart, a virtual currency kiosk or a crypto kiosk, an easy way to turn cash into cryptocurrency.
It's like a, ATM machine. You just put it right in there and vroom, vroom.
This Olympia area woman in her 70s is afraid to reveal her identity. She's still shaken up after losing thousands of dollars to cryptocurrency fraud last year. She got texts saying she owed thousands for skipping jury duty. She got on the phone with someone who convinced her depositing $15,000 in cash into kiosks would get her out of trouble.
I was told that the local authorities would arrest me because there was a warrant for my arrest. I know nothing about this world. I didn't know that the police don't call you, they don't ask for cash. This was a whole different world for me.
The FBI handled more than 10,000 similar crypto kiosk fraud cases in 2024. And of those, 85% of the victims were 60 or older.
Who is this?
This is the police department.
I don't care.
The state of Minnesota has looked at an all-out ban on the kiosks after a series of scams targeting seniors. Washington state legislators explored putting restrictions in place like $2,000 daily transaction limits, additional signage, warnings, and mandatory receipts, but those bills have died the last two sessions.
I was just trying to make this all right because I had done nothing wrong, and these quote-unquote people were going to help me make this right, and they were so convincing.
This woman is convinced had more safeguards been in place, she wouldn't have lost so much. Detectives told her crypto victims rarely get their money back.
I decided that instead of crawling into a hole and just saying I was stupid, I was foolish, I got mad. And I thought, I need this to change.
The American Association of Retired Persons will be lobbying for that bill again next year here at the state capitol. The AARP says if you ever get a threatening email, phone call, or text, before reacting, contact that agency that has allegedly contacted you to see if their concern is legitimate. At the Capitol in Olympia, Drew Mickelson, King 5 News.
We'd like to take a moment to remember a longtime award-winning King 5 producer who rose to prominence in the 1960s and 70s. Gene Walkinshaw died on April 13th. Here at King 5, Walkinshaw produced the weekly interview show Face to Face, hosted by Roberta Byrd Barr. It was one of the first local programs to feature topics of interest to people of color and minorities. Walkinshaw went on to produce more than 40 documentaries featuring artists, writers, cultural topics. She received 8 Northwest Regional Emmys and the John F. Kennedy Journalism Award, among other honors. She was 99. When we come back, meteorologist Adam Claiborne has a look at the weekend forecast.
Well, hey there, everyone. It's time to head into the weekend, and the Mariners are going to be back in town, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend as we welcome them back here to T-Mobile Park. And for the rest of us who have maybe other plans, outdoors is going to be very comfortable and very spring-like as temperatures look to rebound back into the 60s. We do have some rain later on into the forecast next week, but we'll talk about that here in a second. First, let's get into the weekend for the Mariners here at T-Mobile Park, and it looks like we are going to keep temperatures generally in the 60s over the weekend for Saturday and Sunday. Their Friday game actually going to be a bit cooler, but overall things looking very nice. And as we take a look at that schedule here at the forecast here over the next 7-day stretch, you can see temperatures really close to 70 at least Saturday and Sunday. I'm sure we're going to see some 70s out there, and then more widespread 70s possible as we head on into Monday. You see that wording, that denotation of sprinkles or maybe a few showers, a shower chance. There's going to be such a low likelihood of rain here as we head over the next 3 days that I don't even think you'll have to worry about having the rain gear nearby. Higher chances, and I mean slightly higher chances coming in by the time we head on into Tuesday and Wednesday. But if we are going to see some rain, it will probably be on those 2 days, and then we'll see things start to quiet down a little bit as we head on into the latter part of next work weekend. Cool down slightly, but we're still going to be in the 60s, it looks like, at that point. Here's radar, and we do have some light shower activity just off of the coast. Now, a lot of that's going to continue to head up into Vancouver Island, and you'll see that with this system that's arriving, that's going to continue to find its way closer and closer to the region. But again, a lot of that moisture is going to be heading up more so in this direction, up into those parts. And another thing, too, at the same time, once we do start to see the system arriving, the direction of it and where it's going to track is mainly going to be down this way, down into more of California with its rainfall and its precipitation. So let's check that out. You can see, looking at Futurecast, that we do have, looks like, the clouds that are going to be out there as we go throughout more the earlier part of your Saturday morning. Now, you can see the sprinkles out this way towards parts of the coast. Not really seeing anything too impressive with any of that at all, and a lot of that dissipating as it makes its way closer and closer to the coast. But as it approaches, yes, you will see maybe a few light raindrops falling down across parts such as Ania Bay or maybe Quileute. You'll probably have the highest likelihood up there, with areas farther south around more of Westport down towards Long Beach. Maybe seeing a few sprinkles too, but less of a likelihood at that point. Here we are into Saturday evening now, and more that steady rain is getting its way closer to Vancouver Island, but for many of us here in Western Washington, again, a pretty dry and quiet day. And into the evening here across parts of Puget Sound is looking pretty beautiful too, and around the I-5 corridor, little of anything as far as rain, and at the same time too, a mixture of sun and clouds, but I think a good amount of sunshine to help to warm things up. We'll head on into more of late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. This is 4 o'clock in the morning. You can see that there are some more showers just off of the coast, but a lot of them staying just off of the coast. And another thing too, you'll notice as we are going through these next 24 to 48, close to 72 hours, the wind direction, more so coming out of the east. It's going to be a downsloping wind, and it's making its way off the coast. And when we have those here heading now into this time of the year, it's going to be a warming wind. And so that's what it's going to do. It's going to help to warm things up next few days quite substantially from where we were on Friday. And then for Saturday and Sunday, looking like it's going to be nice and beautiful. Again, very spring-like too, with little in terms of any sort of precipitation at all. So you'll notice as we head on into Monday morning, we start to see a bit more of that rain coming in from the south, and eventually we'll see quite a bit more of it too as we head on into Tuesday. So looking at Futurecast, broader view, you can see all that moisture heading farther south at that point. Now, watch what happens once we head on into more a Monday afternoon. We start to see that coming in from the south. Now, that's 7 p.m., so that's Monday night. We're starting to see that inching closer and closer to the area, and we'll eventually start to see some of those showers arriving throughout the evening and into the nighttime hours, 10:30 there Tuesday night, and then into the day on Wednesday, too. You can see some of that shower activity around. How much rain, though, are we talking about? Should be limited, generally around 1/10 of an inch, if not less, for most of our spots here, especially in the lowlands. We'll have some of the higher amounts across the higher terrain, getting up to 1.5 inches. I'm sure that can change, and we'll see how that will change as we get closer to the event. But for right now, looks like we are talking about pretty light rainfall amounts, and looking like we're going to be dealing with more of these milder to warm temperatures with average highs in the upper 50s and lower 60s. We're talking about near 70 Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. A little cooler heading on into Tuesday and Wednesday, but then we climb right back up again after that as we head into next Friday and Saturday into the following weekend. Your forecasted lows into early Saturday morning, we'll see those numbers drop down into more of the upper 30s to lower 40s. So chilly, but not quite as cold as earlier here into the week. Highs on Saturday, 60 in Orcas Island, 67 in Mount Vernon. If you have any plans on heading up to the Tulip Festival, make sure to get ready for the sun and have the sunglasses with you. 69 in Marysville, 71 in Monroe. We'll top off at 70 around Redmond, 67 in Paulsville and Kingston. We'll hit a high of 69 in Renton, about 71 in Auburn, 69 in Enumclaw, lower 70s around Puyallup, Olympia up to 71 degrees. We'll see highs farther south, closer to the Oregon state line in the lower to mid 70s. Out towards the coast, though, expect to see 50s and low 60s for those afternoon numbers. And here's your 7-day forecast. Looking like we are going to keep things fairly quiet here for the next 3-day stretch, and then start to see those higher rain chances returning again by next Tuesday and Wednesday. Don't be surprised if you see some of those showers out towards the coast, but I think in general, we are going to keep things nice and beautiful here for your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday and Sunday, everyone, and take care. We'll talk to you soon.
And welcome back to the week. It's been more than 4 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, and a 74-year-old Seattle man remains on a mission to help. He stands on the side of the road asking for donations. He knows what little money he raises can only go so far, but as King 5's Jim Nelson shows us, that man had no idea how much this would help with his own struggles.
You got one donation, but that's, hey, some days you don't get any.
Rain or shine, Ralph Richardson is here weathering life's storm.
So you're packing up a little early today?
Yeah, I just...
He panhandled.
Would stay longer on a regular day.
At the I-5 ramp. Near 5th Avenue.
To dusk almost.
And Northeast 45th Street. $20 is a good day, but this wasn't one of them.
Probably $8.
Rough days are nothing new for this 74-year-old.
Well, I had a crazy father. He was abused by his father, and he abused my family entirely. So all I ever wanted was a family.
4 years ago, he kind of adopted one and found purpose with Ukraine Defense Support, a Seattle-based nonprofit that raises money to help Ukrainians fight the war with Russia.
I said, that's not, I gotta do something.
Ralph has donated more than $9,000.
Well, I feel like God isn't gonna let him win, so I gotta help.
On this particular day, the biggest battle is the weather, but there are plenty of challenges like rude drivers and other panhandlers who Ralph says can be territorial.
So they basically were telling me, go away, just and keep going, don't be anywhere in Seattle hardly.
He's even been assaulted.
One of these guys came up from down there when I wasn't looking, and he sprays me with pepper spray.
But he refuses to be intimidated.
I wasn't going to put up with just random crap, excuse me, but yeah.
Always focused on the mission.
Okay, I'm pretty well packed up now.
Rain or shine. In Seattle, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.
Bothell police have people in custody connected to the investigation that shut down 5 massage parlors suspected of prostitution. King 5's Madeline Carter reports from downtown Bothell.
In the heart of downtown, something unusual stands out.
I've never seen anything like this in Bothell.
It's the kind of thing you might walk past, unless you stop and really look.
Naturally, you kind of postulate, what's happening here.
Nearby business owner Kevin Coriel did.
For some odd reason, we have a lot of massage parlors and nail salons and stuff around here. And I never put 1 and 2 together.
He couldn't miss the bright red notice posted on the front door of Oriental Lotus Spa, right across from his furniture store. The sign spells out serious safety violations, including illegal wiring and makeshift sleeping spaces inside. It's just one of 5 massage parlors in downtown Bothell searched by police and shut down on suspicion of prostitution.
Oftentimes with these types of businesses, you see human trafficking being associated with that, and that's also something we're looking into and we're taking very seriously.
We spotted 2 more of the red stop work orders at Caviar Spa off State Route 527 and Sunflower Spa on Northeast 183rd Street. We're told all 5 of the massage parlors are within a 2-block radius of the Bothell Police Department.
It's a little bit brazen to set up your illicit massage business so close to the police department.
That's what Kevin said.
And it's kind of brazen for the fact that they're catty-corner to the police station. It's right there. The police station's across the street from them.
Police say they took several people into custody and are working to connect possible victims to services. But behind that red notice on the door, this case is still unfolding.
It's complex, and we're trying to do our part to shore up our end of it and get some charges filed with the prosecutor.
WashDOT is adding more cameras to expand its work zone speed camera program across the state. Last year, troopers used 6 cameras to catch about 65,000 speeding drivers in Western Washington. King 5's Alex McClune has the details.
Tyler Anderson is standing on his own 2 feet after he was hit twice by cars while working nights on highways in Tacoma.
When you see that coming and your body tenses up before the impact, and then it gets over pretty quick.
His back still flares up, but he avoided the same fate as his grandfather, who was hit and killed by a drunk driver.
So that was always on my mind, and I didn't want to give that phone call to my dad. And then now, my why has kind of changed because I have a kid.
It makes all our workers more comfortable when they see the cameras out here.
In a program unveiled last year, the State Patrol sought to reduce this kind of trauma and tragedy by installing cameras to deter and catch speeders. Officials installed 6 cameras rotating through Western Washington maintenance and construction zones. In the first year, the cameras caught 65,000 people racing through work zones. 9,000 of them were repeat offenders. 59,000 first-time violators who received a warning which ends this summer.
Starting July 1st, infractions will now end in a $125 fine that officials say will find its way to your mailbox.
Our goal is driver behavior. We need folks to slow down in the work zone.
WashDOT is now installing more cameras across the state at work areas that have seen crashes and near misses.
Quite frankly, we simply don't have enough troopers within the patrol to be in every work zone 24 hours a day.
WashDOT says it's working. Cameras near JBLM over the past year reduced speeding by 30%.
Throughout the years of being a supervisor, getting the calls from our crew after they get hit, it's a very heartbreaking situation.
In an era seeing more cameras and concerns about civil rights, workers are grateful. While the State Patrol says only authorized troopers have access to camera data, they've already rejected requests from local law enforcement agencies looking for access for criminal investigations.
Well, with fallout from cuts to federal food and health care programs on the horizon, more people are expected to slip into poverty, even homelessness. Snohomish County's largest shelter is already too small, and now plans are underway to prepare for what could be an unprecedented level of need. North Bureau Chief Eric Wilkinson reports from Whatcom County.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, buddy? I'm good. Have a seat.
Jack Morrison helps people transition from life on the street to life on the mend.
What's your history? What's your employment history?
Built 32 years ago, the Ever Gospel Mission holds 102 beds. It's at capacity nearly every night, meaning some people aren't getting the help they need.
It's really hard to say no.
Jack says an overburdened, outdated facility isn't serving the community as well as it should.
It all comes down to beds. We need more beds. We need more room for the beds.
This one room acts as a lunchroom, a day center, and a sleeping quarters for the mission. But an ambitious new plan looks to expand on that.
All of this represents people.
A $30 million expansion into 2 adjacent buildings will allow EGM to triple its size and double its beds. There will be distinct spaces for people to detox, stabilize, and then move into longer-term recovery. And for the first time, men and women will be housed here in separate sections of the facility. That opens up room in women's shelters for families.
If we think about this as the front door, the emergency room for people experiencing homelessness, it's going to be a game changer in that it's going to set up all those other facilities that the county's invested so much in.
While county homelessness is down about 11% since its peak in 2023, another wave is feared, with high prices, rising rents, and Trump administration cuts to federal safety nets. For now, there is hope with the expansion expected in winter 2027.
Okay, well, there's a good place to start.
Jack Morrison is living proof of that hope, a former resident at the mission, now sober nearly 10 years.
We just want to bring more people in and build them up and let God bless them.
Well, as spring arrives, so do nesting geese. In Milton, a mother goose had made a home outside of a bank and recently suffered a violent attack. King 5 Sebastian Robertson explains how the community is helping protect the goose and her eggs.
Parents know that look. It is pure protection. But sometimes we all need a little help.
Not all animals can protect themselves in a harsh world like this.
The town of Milton is rallying around this nesting Canada goose, a yearly presence outside this key bank off 161. But this year, the nest is drawing extra attention after a man ended up in handcuffs for allegedly attacking the bird.
I pray for that person, that he figures out where he went wrong and is punished for what he did, and he can move on with his life and maybe move. That would be nice.
Police arrested 49-year-old Monte Laukala last Thursday. He pleaded not guilty in court this morning. Prosecutors allege he struck the goose several times.
The allegations of hitting a nesting goose with a sign is clearly, in my mind, cruelty to animals.
You can see we're doing our best to keep our distance here. You know, each spring, Canada geese return to the same nesting location, and they fiercely protect their nest. They're federally protected, so messing with them in any way is a crime. New signs now mark the nesting area, warning people to keep their distance. Neighbors say the goose appears no worse for wear, and those who love the yearly appearance are making sure it stays that way.
You know, it's so amazing that we have this community that is so concerned for her that they go out of their way to come out and just make sure she's good and check on her.
In Milton, neighbors are making it clear even Canada geese have a community
watching their backs.
Yeah, they're gonna wait for the eggs to hatch, and then once the eggs hatch and the babies get a little bigger, then they're gonna fly away and go to wherever they go next.
Want to thank you for your time. We hope you enjoyed a look at the biggest stories of the week.